Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have been crafting my stash. I have needed to do this. I've done it before. Recently, I saw Kristen on Kristen K. If you don't know her channel, you should check her out. She was also crafting her stash and I was like, I need to get back to that because I have so much stuff on hand. So that's what I'm doing today, using what I've got already on hand, mostly from the Dollar Tree. But anyways, let's get started with today's DIYs. So for this first one, this cute little sign came from the Dollar Tree and I've had it for quite a while in my stash. I'm taping off the wood piece because I really like that look and I didn't want to get any paint on it. And we're going to just give this a coat or two, actually quite a few coats of white paint. I think the letters were slightly, I don't want to say engraved, but there was like a little dent in them. And so the first coat was like nothing. And I dried it and, well, I'll get back to that in just a second. I did want to show you my new heat gun. This one was recommended by Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs. I had been using an old hair dryer, which worked great, but the heating element went on it, and so it wasn't working as great anymore. And so I decided to finally get a heat gun, and I love it. So it wasn't too expensive. I will try to remember to have that linked for you. Thanks, Sammy, for the recommendation. Sometimes I let my projects just dry naturally because I don't like to stand there and work on stuff too long just for my neck and back purposes, but sometimes I just want to move through and the heat gun helps that a lot. So anyways, there was a little bit of texture to these words. I wish I had sanded them first. It wasn't too bad, but if you have one of these signs, I would recommend just sanding it first and then go in and paint it. So it took a couple of coats. But I'm going to paint that, and I do paint the edge as well, which is just an MDF finish around the edge. I'm cleaning up with my little handheld vacuum. Very handy. Yeah, we're going to just put a couple coats on that, but I do paint the edge of that as well. Basically, we want a clean slate. You could also just put some scrap paper down on this. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Leanne, and I enjoy sharing budget-friendly DIYs here on this channel. If you are new, I hope that you consider subscribing to my channel. That way you don't miss out on my future videos. I post about one video a week, and I would love it if you joined my little YouTube family. Taking off the painter's tape and going in with some rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. I don't have the whole pack to show you because I'm crafting my stash here, so I'm using up what I had on hand. I've cut this up and used different parts of it. I think this was just about the end of it, but I do love the rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree. I wish they would come out with some more new ones, but the ones they've come up with are really nice, and these ones transfer a lot easier than some of the other ones. I'm just going to add in a little bit of greenery. I thought this was a cute piece for like a tier tray or something like that. Let me know if you get rub-on transfers from any other place. I definitely have seen some really nice ones used in videos, and I've thought about picking up some more, but like I said, I need to craft my stash here. I've got a lot of stuff on hand, and I know that there's going to be new stuff coming out that I want to try, and so I need to use up what I've got so that I can make room for some new things. I am covering this with some Mod Podge. Not so much for the rub-on transfers because I don't feel like they come off easily, but so that the paint didn't chip off. For this next one, I'm using a house that I picked up on clearance from Hobby Lobby. It was less than $1, I believe, when I got it. But I have seen various house forms at Dollar Tree as well. But I just sanded that down to make sure I had easy coverage. It came off really good with just sanding it by hand. So that's what I did, and I'm using Waverly chalk paint in the color Celery. I use that a lot in my everyday decor. I also think it blends in really well with like summer or spring summer stuff as well. So I'm going to give that a couple of coats of paint, and then here it is. It's all dry, making sure you dry it well in between. Okay, just gonna put that out there. I've got these butterfly stickers. These are from the Dollar Tree as well. I think they might be considered wall decals, and they stick really, really good. Actually, I was a little bit nervous. I put one down and had to pull it up. You'll see here in just a second, and I was worried it was going to pull up the paint, but it did not. One thing I have noticed, and I have this error in another DIY, there's a difference between paint drying and curing, and you know, it's definitely good to let it thoroughly dry so that it's like cured and less likely to come up. But it didn't come up on this one at all. It was just fine. And I even went to the edges and just like cut off the excess because I really wanted this just fully covered. I thought originally I was going to put some twine and some other things on it, but I like just kind of this pretty image as kind of like a background piece when I'm layering in my decor. And so I'm just going to trim off the edges on that. And then I will coat this with some Mod Podge as well, I wanted to kind of tone down the shininess. I wanted you to not be able to see the edge of the sticker as well. And I really wasn't worried about them coming off, but I do like to seal my projects most of the time with some Mod Podge. I will show all of these finished projects at the end of the video. For this next one, I have this galvanized sign from the Dollar Tree, and I feel like this clip has a little bit of a hard time staying in focus. I think it's because there's a lot of reflective things. Anyways, we're going to take off the holder and save that. We are going to use that again. It just has some plastic pieces at the end, and you just kind of straighten that out to push that through the holes. And we're going to paint this with some celery. Now, I do a couple of coats of this, and I feel like I probably should have started with a layer of Mod Podge. It was fine. It stuck fine to the metal, but maybe my paint is getting a little too thick. I think that might be the problem. It just wasn't as smooth looking as I would have liked. So I tried like sanding it down to smooth it out, but then of course I had to do another coat and it pretty much looked the same. So I don't know. I think probably my Waverly chalk paint I've had for a while, and I'm still working through it. I probably need to get in the habit of buying smaller bottles except for like the white. But you can thin it out with some water, and that does help. So yeah, this is having a hard time focusing as well. But I'm using these rub-on transfers that are gold leaf pieces, and I'm just going to cut them out and place them all over the sign. Little precision scissors are very handy. They are from the Dollar Tree, and they're very nice because they're so tiny to get into all these spaces. Now I'm pulling out these leather words from, sorry, it goes out of focus a lot here. It's just, there's so much reflection happening. But I pulled out these leather words. These are from the Dollar Tree from fall time, but they're just a tan color. They're blessed and grateful, I think was what was in there. And they are, to me, that's not just like a fall, like Thanksgiving-y word. I feel like blessed and grateful are for any time of year. And so, yeah, I pulled them out of my stash. We're going to use them. I am going to seal this in with some Mod Podge. I just put the word down to kind of know where to put the leaves. I didn't want the paint. Paint will scrape off of metal pretty easily if you're not careful, so just sealing that. You can see the paint is a little bit textured. It's not as smooth as I wanted, but that's okay. We're going to hot glue that down. Hot glue on metal doesn't always work great because it cools so quickly, but so I just put it on the leather piece and then laid it down, and that worked out. I didn't have to use like a ton of it. And I just patted it down gently so it didn't like ooze out the sides. And then we're going to just reattach the twine hanging piece. And this would be cute just hanging on the wall. Hanging in the middle of a wreath would be really cute as well. And I'm just going to clean up a little bit of paint that got on the back side. You could also paint the back, but I'm just going to scrape it and clean it with a baby wipe just to, you know, like to make it look finished and not like a DIY project. All right, for this next DIY, this is from Hobby Lobby. It's a little cutting board. This one hasn't been in my stash too long, but this is from their Easter clearance. So I think it was originally $3.49 or $3.99, and I picked it up when it was, I don't know, at least 75% off. I did sand down the little carrot print just because that was kind of indented and I didn't want that to show through. We're going to give this a coat of paint in the color Silver Lining by Waverly. We're going to do the sides and the edges and both sides, and we're going to do a couple of coats of paint. These little cutting boards are super cute. I've seen them, they have them pretty much every season. They have them also just all year round in the spring shop decor, I think. But wherever you can pick them up, they're cute. They'll be fun for like the tier tray in the kitchen. And I just wanted to put on a little bit of a pattern, so I'm using some painter's tape. And I was eyeballing it, but then just checking with my ruler to make sure I didn't have crooked lines. And I kind of saw the idea for a pattern. I looked up like striped patterns on Pinterest or something, just to kind of get something in my head to gauge it with. We're going to go in with the celery. Once again, I use that a lot. We're going to use the stripe pattern just on the front and the edge, not on the back side. We'll just leave the back side the plain gray. We're going to make sure that is dry and pull off the painter's tape. We got some nice crisp lines here, and then I will finish drying it. We're going to put various layers of tape, and so you just want to make sure it is dry in between. We're going to make another line up and down. I can't remember the name of this pattern. I'm sure there is a name of like this little stripe pattern I'm doing, but we're going to do a semi-smaller pattern or stripe here, and then we're going to make sure that that is fully dry, and then we're going to do some really, really thin stripes on either side of that. So I hope that makes sense. If you are, there's various, sorry, there's my head, various ways of doing it. I just was looking for a cute striped pattern. I wanted something pretty simple because this is just going to be like a layering piece, either on my kitchen counter or on my tiered tray. So it's kind of hard to see. Once it dries down a little bit darker. You can see that there's a tiny little line there. And I'm just touching up the paint there because that is where I had accidentally pulled some paint off because it's like it was dry but not cured. And then I made sure this was super dry before I sanded it. I just kind of wanted to rough it up a little bit. I let a little bit of the wood peek through on the edges just because that is the look I like. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be everyone's cup of tea. And we're just going to wipe off any of the dust, and then we will coat this once again with some Mod Podge. This is probably of all the projects the one that needs it the most, but I just figured what the heck, this way if I get anything on it in the kitchen, not that I'm going to be using this to cook with, but if like food splatters on it or something, it's easy to wipe off. And then once that's dry, we're just going to put a piece of twine through the hole just to, I don't know, finish it off. I'm going to burn it because I did not want, this was a very, very fuzzy piece of twine that I had. So just burning off all the little fuzzies, and then we're going to thread that through and tie a knot. I wanted to do a piece of leather. I thought that would be cute, but I didn't have any, or at least I couldn't find it if I did. And yeah, that is going to do it. If you like this video, we're going to show you the finished ones in just a second. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's a super easy way to help me out. Also, say hello in the comments. Subscribe if you are new. And here is the finished product. Once again, sorry about the light reflecting on the one piece, but I love how these all came out. And they're different, but they're kind of similar. I think they'll work well together. And I didn't have a spot right there to hang up the blessed sign, so I just have it on a little sign stand just to let you see it. But that is it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video.